Okay, so recently someone asked me, like, how'd you get involved with Shawn Tuck? And honestly, it's an interesting story because I didn't know Shawn as a singer. I only know him as a rapper.
Your back under your rear, watch you back it up spectacular. You clap it up like chill. Back to the lab, who's that in the back? Finna make another bang, a nigga shoot me some. Been a nice bros, get loose, get running. All about them benches like, oh shit, money.
That's all I know him as. He rapped and had a great flow. Lyric was dope. So when I saw a post that he did on social media and he was promoting his song, My Vibe song, it just caught my attention because I was like, the lyrics are great. The structure of the track, the way that he structured the vocals, the arrangement, the way that he sat inside of the track, his vocals just placed perfectly in the beat. And they wrote the beat, creating its own instrument. So it really struck me as he's talented. Like, man, he's talented. So I reached out to Shawn. I wasn't managing anyone at the time. So I was like, yo, man, if you ever need anyone to talk to, bounce some ideas off of, I'm not trying to inject myself into what you have going on, but I also don't want to see anyone take advantage of you because you're way too talented not to move forward in this. So that was pretty much it. So a couple weeks later, he reaches out. He tells me that he's going to release my vibe song, and we started having a conversation because I had some questions. Not to say don't release it, but it was okay. Do you have the business side of things in order? So what a lot of artists do, they release stuff, but they don't really understand the business. So for me, understanding the business as an artist is just as important as the craft itself. So I started talking to him like, okay, is this a lease beat? Do you have exclusive rights to it? Like, let me do some research before you go ahead and release this track. So I reached out to a friend of mine who had a satellite radio station and talked to her, and she was like, hey, I love the song, but understand, I've heard that beat like 5 times. Like, there's 5 other artists using the same beat. So I reached back out to Shawn. I'm like, yo, I tell you what, I have a producer friend of mine. His name is James Benson. Shout out to James Benson, Fat Ass Tracks. He's unbelievable. But I'm like, look, let me take you to see James. Maybe he could reproduce the track. He's talented. He's probably the best producer I know because James is incredible. So let me take you there and see what we can do. And maybe he can come up with something that we can make instead of the track that you're currently using. So Sean let me know who's in town. We went to James's house, and James, worked on the track, but he's like, hey, we got some time. Let me just play some beats for you. Playing some tracks. And while this track was playing, Sean, me, another aspiring artist that I know, Tommy Milan, so shout out to Tommy. So we're all just there in the studio and we're just talking. So as the beat's playing, Sean is conversating with everyone else. We're all engaged in the conversation, but he's, you could tell that he's jotting some stuff down, but he's still talking to everybody. So about 10 minutes, 10 to 15, I promise you was no more than 15 minutes. I'm probably more closer to 10. So he just stops writing and James looks at him and is like, yo, man, so what, you got something? And Sean's like, yeah. He's like, okay, then get in the booth. So I honestly think James was just trying to call him out, like, okay, well, you haven't really been writing. So what do you got in 10, 15 minutes? So Sean goes into the booth. And what I'm going to play for you next is what Sean did in the booth in that moment. Again, during the conversation, we're talking, he's engaged in it, listening to the track as he's conversating. And at the same time, he was able to write something down. And not only did he write lyrics down, but he arranged it. He did a vocal arrangement, the flow, the intricacies of the words that he uses, the wordplay, like all that happened in 10 to 15 minutes. And all he did was a verse and probably a hook or a bridge, however you want to call it. But it's dope. It was dope enough that James looked at me while he was recording. It's like, dude, he is doing this. There's no EQ in his voice. This is one take. And I don't even think he realizes how good he is. And that was a moment where I realized that Sean is different. I mean, he's different. And when you hear it, you're like, okay, this is dope. You would think that he took time, like more time than he did to write this. And it reminded me of the Defiant Ones when Dre was talking about Eminem. Completely different artists, completely different people. I completely understand it. But he was talking about how the first time he met Eminem and they went into the studio and they recorded My Name Is, Dre knew at that moment, like, this kid's incredible. Like, he's incredible. And that's the kind of feeling I got working with Shawn for the first time. So this is what we came up with. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, yeah. Pull up, okay, you say you tryna do things. It's been a minute, missing the pin in my boot thing. I like your vibe, your energy, and your style too. No need to hide, been searching my whole damn life for you. I got it bad, said I got a little fever. Till I'm addicted, so committed, I won't leave you. You got me tripping on you now. Only concerned about what you about. No hesitation, I choose. This right, we gon' diffuse it. That what you confused about.
Like, all that happened in 10 to 15 minutes. He's incredible. And that's the kind of feeling I got working with Shawn for the first time.